Skibbity up.
There you go.
I fixed it. Why would it, what? OBS, why would you mute it throughout the whole thing when I told you just to mute it on one thing? The fuck? But yeah, welcome to the Kong Skull Island Spoilercast. Monarch Declassified Edition, as I'm going to retitle it in the YouTube version. I'm Jesus.
I'd be Robsus.
Kaiju expert.
I'm Lonnie.
She's weird.
I'm here.
That's Chris.
That's Chris.
Apparently.
He's here.
Apparently. Let's see. Where should we start? So Kong Skull Island came out about 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
Yeah, it came out February 28th.
No, was that...
Actually, no. It came out in March 10th in the States.
Yeah.
So, yeah. About 2 weeks ago.
We gave our brief thoughts on it in the this past week's podcast. However, we did not go into spoilers, and that's what this podcast is going to be for.
Oh yeah!
Oh my god, that was scary.
Spoilers.
So I don't know how you guys want to go about this. If we should just kind of go through our thoughts again, but this time with actual spoilers. I know we're going to be jumping.
I think that's a good idea. I think it's a really good idea. I gotta put on my smart person glasses now.
I'll start. So let's see. I saw this with Chris the Saturday after it came out. Initially, I would say I gave it an 8.5, though after the post-credits scene, which we are going to go probably pretty in-depth with, that featured Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah, I would say that got raised to an 8.7. I think a lot of people's biggest issues with the movie was kind of the most, at least what I saw, was the characters. Which, that's one of the big problems with it, is there's a lot of characters, to the point where some people, notably Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, get kind of shafted in the screen. Not really in screen time, but in what they do in the movie. Like, there's a lot of people that already do shit, and, like, those two kind of get, not the short end of the stick, but they don't feel super developed as compared to at least some of the other characters, at least in my opinion.
I agree completely. But
the monster action in this movie and Kong himself are done so well. Now, everyone, like, this is a complaint that both goes to the 2005 King Kong and Godzilla 2014, which I think that this movie is both a direct, a direct reply to both of those. Since in both of those you didn't really see Kong or Godzilla until about, like, an hour in. And granted, in the original, or in the 2005 King Kong, after he shows up, he's kind of in it for, like, a lot of the movie. But in Godzilla, which this movie is canon with, he kind of shows up, and then he's kind of not completely out of the movie, but he's very infrequently in the movie until the last act. Which, this movie feels like a response to that, because once Kong shows up, Kong is on screen, like, almost every, like, 5-10 minutes, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a lot of really good characterization, like the scene where he's eating the squid, and he's fighting the squid.
Mm-hmm.
And even just the very, very brief scene of... it's, like, right after one of the soldiers say that, like... it's like right after the scene between Randa, John Goodman's character, and Packard, Samuel L. Jackson's character, where they're, like, discussing... where he's trying to convince him not to go after Kong, because, like, Kong's just an animal, he doesn't give a shit. And, like, Samuel L. Jackson has the line where it's like, that's not just an animal, that's a monster out there, and it has no conscience or feeling. And then it cuts to a shot of Kong just kind of sitting there, watching the, the Aurora Borealis that's over the island. And you can just see he's just kind of sitting there, like, curious, almost like a person, just kind of watching it. And I feel like just little scenes like that give him a lot of character.
especially with the whole his parents thing, like, because I'm pretty sure he looked at his parents' like remains at one point, and it like made him, feel some type of way. They really humanized Kong in a way that like they never really do with Godzilla. So like, I mean, I guess you could give that, a sort of, because monkeys are closer to humans and like feeling and stuff like that, and Godzilla is an ancient creature, that like lizard creature that doesn't have the same like primary functions, I guess, as like monkeys do.
True.
But they're more like human, which is interesting to me because they legitimately humanized a giant gorilla that, like, in the other movies, I didn't really like the one that they released last time with Jack Black. I didn't really like that one. It actually almost made me fall asleep. But I will say that I kind of was wondering if it would just kind of carry on back into the city in another where he like climbs the tower and stuff. But I don't think that that's where the movie's going yet. Just because I think they left it open to progress to that, so they're not pushing that into one movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Agreed.
that's another thing to note about Kong in this one. Even now, they say he's still growing, but in this movie, he is the largest he's ever been on film. And I believe it's supposed to be like 115 feet, which in even like the Peter Jackson one, he's only supposed to be like 25 feet tall.
You see, that's the interesting thing, because like that would mean if Kong in this film is still growing, that means that he's still very young.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's yet to reach his, I guess, adult age.
Yeah.
So he's basically a small child. He's basically a small child.
The way that
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say. I think it harkens back to the moment when he was watching the Aurora Borealis. Like it's childlike wonder. He's like, what is this? I don't know what this is. I've only been here for like.
Or maybe it's one of his like
years.
favorite things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Even so, it kind of like the more I think about it now, it's like, dang, what took so long to have like Kong felt like a legitimate character with a lot of backstory that really played out well, and yeah.
And that's what,
Ball
in
out.
addition with Godzilla, I really like that they're playing up kind of the heroic aspect of these monsters. Not only like does he like save the humans, even though they were kind of dicks to him at first. That one scene between him and Brie Larson where she goes to go help the one like water buffalo creature that's like pinned under the helicopter, and then he picks it up and saves it because he's like the protector of the island. And then he just kind of has that look with her where you can see, like, maybe humans aren't all bad, since this one was trying to help one of the defenseless creatures on the island.
Yeah.
Very true.
I really like that scene.
And that also explains the whole, like, Kong connected to the woman kind of thing, because they never really do that ever. It's just kind of like a weird, like, Kong's just, like, the ladies or whatever. Yeah. But instead, it could have been anybody. It could have been Tom Hiddleston. Like, he could have been trying to help the water buffalo, but, like, he saw Brie, and I'm sure there's more to it, but I think that's a main part of it, is that he saw that she was trying to help.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of things to become attached to creatures or maybe even inanimate objects that we associate with kindness.
True.
So I mean, and especially given like the idea, just the idea that I'm going with, I guess, that Kong is still a child. Seeing someone care for something made him care for her. So
exactly,
it's like with a small baby child.
He's still learning.
Exactly.
Speaking of learning, that was one thing I really liked, especially in like the fight scenes that they would show, is the gears turning in his head. Like, especially like when he used the like propeller from the one of the boats, as both a flail and as like almost like knuckle dusters. Like, I think that's one of the ways, especially down the road when we get to King Kong versus Godzilla, Because I have a feeling, they said that he still has time to grow, but I have a feeling he's not going to be up to Godzilla's size, considering Godzilla's like 500 feet tall. I have a feeling that's how one of the ways they're going to even the odds between the two, is because Kong is a thinking animal. Like, he'll be able to use, like, wherever they end up fighting, whether it be in the city or whatever, he'll be able to use his environment to his advantage and his speed to catch him off guard. I mean, sure, Godzilla
He's the most human out of all the monsters.
Yeah.
So, you would think he would have the most, like, high-functioning brain out of all of them. Yeah. Unfortunately, that also gives him the weakness of compassion.
Exactly.
So...
True. Because, to be honest, like, the more you think about it, you realize that Kong is, like, in the Monsterverse, the only sentient being, and like, the only real sentient, like, entity in the Monsterverse.
Well, I mean, like, in the first Godzilla, they don't have a whole lot of Godzilla, but they do establish that he is the Godzilla, at least thinks. He thinks, because, like, especially the scene where he's, like, looking at Kick-Ass in the first one, you could see, like, he's thinking, even though, like, he realizes, like, okay, this thing in front of me is just, like, an ant, like, whatever. But still, like, I have a feeling, and especially because they say that Godzilla in this universe, he's less of, like, a destroyer of worlds and more of a guardian of nature, in a way. Which I really like that aspect that they're taking with a lot of these monsters, is that sure, they're these, like, huge hulking behemoths that can destroy cities, but they're not, at least in Godzilla's case, they're just animals. Or even in, like, the Mutos from the first movie, or the Skullcrawlers, like, they're just animals. They just want to eat and breed and, like, exist.
And sleep sometimes, maybe.
And then the Skullcrawlers are just kind of, like, primeval, like, they just want to eat and kill.
Yeah. Think of them as, like, I don't know, like anything else in the animal kingdom.
Well, for me, it was kind of like a foreshadowing for Godzilla, because they are, like, lizard creatures. And, like, when John C. Reilly's character was like, oh, yeah, there's these, like, giant lizards in the ground, and this, and this, I was like, really? And that, like, he protects everybody from them. Like, it was a good thing. Like, I was like, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing in your writing. So, that actually I appreciated.
That's what... One of the other things, speaking of John C. Reilly's character, I think most of us are in agreement that, like, he's probably, like, the most developed and probably best character in the movie. Like, not only does he get the best lines, but he gets the best, like... He gets the best, what's the word? He gets the best lines, he gets the best character development. Like, that little scene... Like, in the middle of the credits, where he goes back home and he sees his wife and son again after, like, 30 years of being stranded on the island, that goes a long way of making you care about the characters. Like, I cared about the characters so much more in this movie than I did in Godzilla.
Of course.
Granted, they still had issues, but it wasn't like in Godzilla, where it's like, oh, Bryan Cranston's gone. I guess I'll pay attention to Kick-Ass, even though he's kind of one note.
No, that was terribly played out.
Honestly, I didn't really like the Godzilla movie, and it also made me want to fall asleep.
I liked it, but I do agree it has a lot of fucking issues. Especially just rewatching it recently, it has a lot of issues.
First of all, shouldn't have killed off Bryan Cranston.
Listen, all I want is, like, let me see your script and I'll cut out, like, 50 different things for you, because I feel like a lot of these scripts can be condensed into, like, better things, but they don't take the time to do it because they know people are going to watch it because it's the Monsterverse. So, like, they can cram things into, like, 2 hours and people will sit in the theater and, like, you know, be fine with it. But honestly, like, a lot of this stuff could have been, like, cut out and, like, fixed, and, like, it's so hard.
Like,
it's so hard.
I'm trying to think what scenes in this one could have gotten cut out that just seemed like really unnecessary. Because in this one, I felt like there wasn't a whole lot where it meandered at all. Like, it felt like pretty, like...
Honestly,
pretty
the whole
through.
Chapman thing, like...
That was a little, yeah.
I liked the humanizing part of it, but if they were gonna do that, they should have, like, cut out all the other scenes with, like, the soldiers and stuff and just made it about finding Chapman.
Yeah.
Because, sure, they were going back and they were looking for him and stuff like that, but they were wasting a lot of time. Like, the spider scene with the bamboo legs was really cool, but it wasn't necessary. Like, of course, they were just showing the threats on the island, which is okay, but at the same time, like, it was a whole scene dedicated to just showing that.
No, I disagree with you on that.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like that scene, that whole exchange, that whole scene was necessary.
Why?
Because at that moment, it established the idea that, oh, hey, there is a lot more going on this island. There is a lot more going on. There's a lot more to the story than anyone actually can understand or they can comprehend. You are literally in foreign territory. You are no longer the biggest fish. You are no longer the kid in the sandbox.
I agree with that. Like I said, like, it was a good scene to show that, but like the other scenes surrounding it, like it. Even, like, subtle things, like, other things like John C. Reilly, when he was just like, yeah, they sound like giant birds, but they're actually giant ants, like, or whatever it was. And it was just really funny, because I was like, wow, you understand his character, like, and he's been here so long, he knows, like, this is no place to mess with.
I appreciate that line, not only because it's the only fuck in the movie, but because... because that was a direct reference to, I can't remember what year. It's an old-ass 1950s monster movie called Them that has ants that sound like birds.
That's really funny. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
My grandmother has that movie. God, no.
It's a nice little... It was one of the funnier lines of the movie for me.
It came out of nowhere, too. Like, people are, like... Because the way they frame that scene, I feel like, is you feel like... Because they show that John C. Reilly is a little unhinged. The way they frame that is the two, like, most level-headed people in the group, Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson, are going to go off
54.
And then they just... And then they just have that scene where, like, John C. Reilly's like, oh, don't worry, guys, we're gonna be fine. And he just, like, pulls out the gun and cocks it. Like... I thought, like, they were going to go a different direction, but then they went that way. I was like, okay, I like that.
I will say one of my favorite parts of the movie was when he was talking about the other soldier that fought him. And he was like, you know, take away the uniforms, take away the, you know, everything. And he's just another guy. Like, I would have been friends with him. And I was. And I was like, yo, that's the realist. That's one of the realest statements, like, I've heard in a while in a movie, because it's true. Most wars, like, you're enemies because of what you wear and, like, what side you're on. Like, but if you strip it all down, you may find a friend or an ally or anything like that. So I was like, you know, that's real. I like that.
It's a stretch, but people had been speculating that that might be almost a mini foreshadowing for King Kong versus Godzilla, because, I mean, the American monster and the Japanese monster fight and then become allies.
Ooh.
Maybe?
I can see that.
I mean, I think that's the route they're going to go anyway, because I feel like they're going to go like the Batman v Superman route, where they fight over a misunderstanding, and then they come together to fight a bigger monster.
Yeah, because, I mean, they literally can't just kill each other, because that would be useless. That would be useless. That would be a waste of years of like, building an amazing story and an amazing, like, plot. Just flush down the toilet, because people want to see them kill each other.
Honestly, that's a lot of writers' like problems, is that they write all these stories and stuff, and then they get to a point where they want to kill somebody off, and they have a problem because now they have all this story, all this everything, that if they sacrifice it, they are almost sacrificing everything they've built. Like, even if it's a minor character.
True. I mean, hey, if they want, they can get Activision to have them like rewrite it. That'd be great. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that was terrible.
That's
sorry.
what.
I shouldn't have said that.
Speaking
I shouldn't
of
have said that. I'm so sorry.
Speaking of sacrifice, can we talk about the one soldier? I can't remember his name. He was the guy who was on Agent Carter, who was like the head of the SSR.
Oh my god, I know who you're talking about. Oh my god, he was my favorite.
The kind of like shell-shocked guy throughout the whole movie. That was an unusual encounter, wasn't it?
Oh my god, hold on. I need to find him. She Wiggum.
Yeah.
Or
Cole. Cole, yeah. Can we talk about his death scene and how, like it was one of those scenes where like you almost want to laugh, but it was like that was really brutal.
Because it's true. Like, it's so true.
It's a failed suicide. Like really? It's a failed suicide bomb attempt. Like that's. I mean, he went out in the blaze of glory. We'll say that, but still, it was a bit much. It was a little bit much.
It shows the smartness of the Alpha Skullcrawler, though, that it knew like, okay, this thing is up to something. Like, let's. Did you just leave the call? Okay, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
What? You were saying?
It showed the smartness of that. There's like, okay, what is this little thing doing? Why is it not running away? I'm gonna swipe it away with my tail. Okay. Thanks for the warning.
Because, like, a lot of these animals, like, they understand, and, like, if they see that, the creature that's coming at them has something in their hands, like, you're assuming that the animal is dumb enough to not understand.
Yeah.
But these things have been portrayed as, like, super smart. So it's not really a surprise. So, I don't know. I like that the Skullcrawlers weren't really that dumb.
Yeah.
I like to have, I guess, I don't even want to call them antagonists. Like, I don't want to call them that because you're honestly just reacting naturally. So I don't know what to call them. But to have creatures that are just as smart, if not a little bit smarter than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's cool because it's not very often you get movies like this where you have humans, supposedly the most sentient beings in our universe, come up against something that thinks faster than them.
Yeah. That
can outsmart them. That can't speak. That is quote unquote primitive. Like, I love. I don't know why, but that's the one thing I took from this movie is that we are not the biggest fish. We're not the biggest fish in the sea. We are not, and yes. Yes.
That's one thing that even Godzilla set up, the 2014 movie, and I love that they're using this almost kind of like Lovecraftian, like Lovecraft storytelling element that humans are like minuscule compared to all these other going-ons in the world and universe, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
exactly.
There was a video essay that I was watching a few weeks ago where it's like, where are all the big Lovecraft movies out there? And it's like, they're out there. You just have to kind of look for them. And, like, Godzilla and this were, like, used as examples. Because, like, Lovecraft was all kind of about, like, this, like, kind of what I was saying. Like, cosmic horror story stuff where, like, humans are, like, the most minuscule, like, pieces of dust in the universe compared to all these other bigger going-ons.
It's almost like... It's one of my favorite pieces of storytelling because humans have such a god complex about them most of the time that we think that we are the biggest fish in the sea. And when you're put up against things like, or when you compare whether or not your struggle with somebody or your war with somebody is more important than another war that's happening, like, without... It's almost like the Game of Thrones thing.
Yeah.
Where everybody's fighting the houses and this, and this, and they don't even know that there's, like, White Walkers coming down to their doorstep in any moment now. And that's a bigger threat. So it's always a good thing to see there's something bigger than us, because it makes you understand that you're not as important as you think you are in the grand scheme of things. As weird as that sounds, it humbles you. That's what I'm going for. It just humbles you.
I definitely, and I think that point was gotten across perfectly well when with Packard's death.
You mother.
That the symbolism was so great. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Hands down, best scene in the movie, hands down, for me.
Kong was not having that shit.
He was like, "Nah, bro, guess what? You did," and that was it. And the story.
And that's it. His hatred destroyed him, and it was a stupid hatred. Like he was so. I will say this: it was probably because they dropped the hints in the beginning of the movie that he wasn't ready to go home. He didn't want to give up the war. So that doesn't surprise me that he hung on to it so, like, far into the movie. And even if he realized it was wrong, he still hung on to it and was like, you know what? I'm going to go down with this no matter what, because I'm ready to go in action, and even if I'm wrong.
I mean, to be honest, his motivation wasn't all that, like, unreasonable. Like,
he killed his team, yeah.
Yeah, he watched half his squad just die. So he's like, yo, whatever this is, I'm going to kill it. I understand that. I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, given the odds, given what you're up against, buddy, come on now. No amount of explosions.
I think that was, like, the big part of his character arc is, like, he did not want to end that war. He wanted to keep going, and instead he found a new war with Kong.
Exactly.
And it was the worst kind of war he could have started.
Yeah, he knew he wasn't going home. He knew he wasn't going home. He knew it. Come on now. There's no way. I don't care who you are.
I think he knew he wasn't going home or didn't want to go home, but, like, I don't think he realized just how many of his own men weren't going to go home. And that guilt kept stacking up on him, and at that point he was never going to let it go.
Exactly.
Even though he probably realized that Kong was there for a good reason, he wasn't going to let it go.
Yeah.
So
that's what he has a line, like, just before the Alpha Skullcrawler comes out, something along the lines of, like, people back home shouldn't even know that these things out here exist.
Yep, and then let's show them that man is king and this and this.
Learn the hard way that it's not true.
Yeah.
I love the jerry-rigged boat. I know that's random, but it was so great.
Can we talk about, because the director of this movie, Jordan Vogt Roberts, he's supposed to be doing the Metal Gear movie. Eventually. And
wait, hold on. What?
Yes.
There's going to be a Metal Gear movie?
Yes. He's been talking. Him and Kojima have been, like, really, like this on Twitter, man. Did you guys catch the reference with the boat name?
Hold on.
The Gray Fox.
Yo, I did not realize that. That is actually really cool.
But here's my thing, though.
I caught that in the soundtrack.
I don't think Hideo Kojima could have anything to do with it, because it's a property that belongs to Konami.
But that's still his work, though.
True, but it's Konami still owns it.
I know it's copyrighted.
Wait, but
Konami,
do they own? But do they own the film rights to it, though?
True.
Exactly, because if they don't own the film rights to it, then Hideo Kojima could actually have a hand in it.
True, and if he does, then goodness gracious, it's going to be amazing. We all know that. It's going to be baller.
That's what he's even had conversations on Twitter where people have asked, like, how are you going to incorporate, like, the classic, like, Metal Gear, like, detected sound effect. He's like, oh, trust me, I have a couple of ideas about that.
Oh, bless.
Oh, goodness.
But, yeah, I just want to put that little tidbit.
Back to Kong. Sidebar, done.
Oh, shit. I almost, like, choked on a piece of gum.
Please. That booty gum.
Shit, hold on. Let me go back to my list because I got off track here. That was another thing. Speaking of like the creatures and stuff on Skull Island, I both like and dislike that they weren't just like dinosaurs like again. I like that they were like these really kind of bizarre like stuff like you wouldn't see, but like it kind of would make sense if it was real, like the big ass like spider or the big like what was the one thing? The one like spore thing that lived inside the log that fought Chapman. Although I do like that they kind of showed it was benevolent, that he just kind of shot at it. It's just kind of like, whatever, I'm gonna go leave. But then again, I realized it probably saw the skull crawler behind him. It was like, nah, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. But I really like the creature designs in this movie. Like, they all seem really creative, and especially what was the one, like the flying ones with like the saw noses? That was really cool. They almost kind of reminded me of like Pacific Rim designs a little bit. But yeah.
I think that, like, at first, I'm gonna be honest with you. At first, I thought they were I thought they looked terrible. I'll be real with you. At first, I thought they looked really bad, and then seeing them in action, I was like, this looks pretty great. And then I realized, I didn't really quite realize it. I was thinking about it while I was watching the movie. I'm like, these creatures make perfect sense now, considering the end game for this. It makes perfect sense. Can you imagine the extreme culture shock if randomly it's like, oh hey, Kong and Godzilla with nothing else in between?
Yeah.
There's no way to show that there are crazier things that Americans have never seen, like Godzilla. Mm-hmm. So kudos.
That's what they.
Kudos.
What was it? Jordan Vogt-Roberts was kind of talking about how the way they were approaching the creature design in this movie, in almost kind of a Princess Mononoke kind of way, where like almost like they're a little bit, kind of like they're almost like gods of like their sections of the island, or like almost like they rule over those sections of the island. And I thought that was kind of neat. That was kind of a neat way to approach it, than just like, oh, these dinosaurs, they live over here, and those ones, they live in the pits. Which, I mean, I do... Speaking of the Peter Jackson one, because this kind of reminded me of it, I did like that one, Skull Island, seemed a little more developed, I guess would be the word. Like, it seemed like it had more of a history, as opposed to this one. Like, this one, they had some of the stuff with, like, a little bit of the ruins and some of that stuff, but it kind of just seemed like an island, and that was kind of my only complaint about, like, the design aspect of this movie. Is I wish that the island felt more ancient and, like, kind of otherworldly. Like, they did make it feel kind of cool like that, like, especially, like, in the scene with, like, the Aurora Borealis and stuff like that. But in other parts, it just feels like, oh, we're at Hawaii.
I mean, hey, I mean, think about it like,
honestly,
like this.
I didn't realize that they filmed in Hawaii, to be honest. But that's also because I'm not from there, and I wasn't really paying attention to that. I think they did a pretty good job just showing, like, the jungles and stuff like that, because there are a lot of movies that you can tell exactly where they're being filmed.
Yeah. And
no shame about it. But this one, personally, it may not be the same, like you said, but for other people. But personally, I didn't realize where they were filming. Sorry to cut you off, Ralphie. You can continue.
Oh no, you're Gucci. You're Gucci. I apologize. I forgot what I was gonna say. Crap. Oh, but yeah, like, think about it like this. Like Jurassic Park. Why? Think of it in that sense. The island that we see in Kong Skull Island is supposed to feel grounded. It's supposed to feel like it's a place that could actually exist, like a place that these creatures could live on, that isn't completely unbelievable. Like, and I understand what you mean about, like, how it doesn't feel like it has as much, like, a history as in the older Kong films. I don't know why I'm stuttering. It's weird. Uh, but I feel like for this film, it works, especially it works especially for the time period,
Yeah.
and also it works because it makes it feel like a place that is real.
True.
It makes it feel like a place that's that I don't know, that maybe, I don't know, that one of us could possibly wash up on like one day and then immediately regret our life choices. But I mean, hey.
Well, I mean, they talk about how it's like almost like the Bermuda Triangle of the Pacific. How like thousands of planes and boats and ships have gone missing there. And this actually kind of leads into one of the things I wanted to talk about that I have on the list is that the big ship that the Iwi live on, what is it? Marlowe, or what's his name? John C. Reilly says that it arrived. That he thinks it arrived around like 10 years or so before he did.
Mm-hmm.
And the ship was called the Wanderer. Now, 10 years before he arrived would probably be 1933-ish, when the original Kong was released and took place. And the original ship in the original Kong was called the Venture. So I can't help but think that that was a direct reference to that, to maybe those events taking place in some sort of way. Like, maybe they met Kong back then and he was actually a lot smaller.
Right.
And one of my friends on Tumblr was telling me, because he got the novelization, and he was actually telling me they actually confirmed that a film crew went there in the 30s and never came back. So I'm thinking that the 33 version of the story did at least take place in like broad strokes. Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
That's a really good way to actually, like, that's actually really cool, because it would also kind of it would also explain the ancestors too.
Exactly.
Like the presence of the ancestors. That, oh my god, dude! Wait, my mind was just blown.
I did like that John Goodman was kind of dressed like Carl Denham from the original movie with like the khaki vest and everything. Like he looked just like, and even had like the fucking camera and everything. One other thing I wanted to touch on with the natives, just because we're kind of in that section. I thought it was really cool that they didn't speak, so they didn't like they didn't have them like be like some sort of weird like caricature, or some sort of weird like vaguely monstrous version like they were in the 2005 one, which was a little this is a little much. I do also like that I feel like they kind of implied that they were almost psychic in a way, or like communicated with each other telepathically. At least that was what I kind of got in my mind. And one other thing I thought was maybe set up for both that and this, I feel like might be set up for something in the future of the Monsterverse. Maybe have another character be telepathic or something. Maybe they're communicating with Kong or Godzilla. But that was another thing I like, is one of the villagers has a brand or like a tattoo like on their forehead that a lot of people, myself included, think might be Mothra's symbol, which it's basically a circle and a cross and then a couple things like on the side.
Right.
Which would be that'd be kind of a cool setup that if Mothra had visited them at some point in the past and they viewed her as a god.
I feel like all like our big creatures have visited this island at some point in time, because how else do you explain the different types of creatures on the island?
Exactly. Because I mean, they talk about how Kong and his species weren't native to the island. One day it seemed like they just kind of showed up, like maybe they like washed up, or maybe because like in the 2005 one, Skull Island was connected to like the Philippine Islands via like a land bridge, and then over time that just kind of got washed over and like taken down by like earthquakes and moving crust and stuff like that. I'm almost wondering if something like that was the case for this Skull Island as well.
Hmm.
I would love to actually get a. I know it's like it's a stretch and definitely wishful thinking, but I would love to get an explanation on like how in the world did Kong's species end up on the island? Like I would love to know because that would explain so much. It would shed a lot of light on a lot of the creatures on the island.
Yeah.
And to be completely honest, I'd be okay with that. I'd be even if it's not even if it's not in a film. If it's just like a post somewhere about, oh hey, this is how this happened. Bam, there it is. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm cool with that.
Because that's what in a lot of interpretations of Skull Island, this one I'm assuming because they also had the dinosaur bones there, is that Skull Island had been a place that had been shielded from extinction events, and so things were just allowed to evolve past probably what their prime would have been, and that's what like at least in the Peter Jackson one, like Kong had evolved from like old gorillas or something like that. And so I'm almost wondering if something similar happened in this version. We're not 100% sure.
See that.
Like you said though, you think that some of the previous monsters have visited Skull Island in the past. I have a feeling,
Yeah.
especially going forward, I have a feeling that Skull Island is going to eventually become what's in the original like Toho movies, Monster Island, where the governments of the world try to contain all these large monsters. I don't know how exactly they're gonna fucking...
It always seems to be the answer. Like, if we can't beat it, contain it, and like try to use it to our advantage.
Yeah,
and it's
basically.
I can understand where that comes from, but most of the time it doesn't work.
I mean, hey, isn't that the American way?
How do you contain Godzilla? He's like size. He's like 500 feet tall. He's like 500 feet tall and like 100,000 tons.
Well, they could pretend like
breath,
they could pretend that they made an oil rig or something in the middle of the ocean and then keep them in there with electrified fences or something.
I mean, hey, so we're going Cloverfield now? Is that how we're doing?
Yeah.
Oh my god, yo, can you imagine? Can you imagine? That'd be
oh my
great.
god, I never expected you to reference the Cloverfield viral marketing campaign.
First of all, that is the way you should market anything, because it was great. I loved it. It made me want to see the film, and it's one of my favorite films of all time. So
same.
I just watched them in full a couple weeks ago. So
yep.
Yeah, you did.
They're decent. I liked them.
Wait. Have you guys semi off topic but still kind of monster related? Have you guys watched? Did you guys watch the Blu-ray or just like the DVD?
We watched whatever was on Hulu.
Damn it! Because I was gonna say the Blu-ray for Cloverfield has a really cool, like overlay feature that you can put on. It tells you like where the monster is in relation to like our characters and like where the military is, and it gives you all kinds of like really cool like behind the scenes like in universe info. Like one of the things like I believe they like name the monster like the large scale aggressor, and like they say there's like all kinds of like post movie information and stuff on it. It's like really cool.
Yeah, the term large scale aggressor is used in the film.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool.
Hold on, let me just go back to the list because I got sidetracked.
Now I want to watch Cloverfield again. Thanks.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What are some other little references I noticed? Kong versus the Octopus was in Kong's first appearance in King Kong versus Godzilla. He shows up fighting an octopus that's attacking the village. And in the original King Kong versus Godzilla, it was a real octopus that they had the guy in the suit wrestling with.
Oh my god.
And as the legend goes, the director set 2 of the octopuses that they were using free and ate the other one.
Okay. Savage.
It was the 60s in Japan. It was a different time.
It's true.
True. I get that. Okay. I understand that then.
Let's see. Kong using the tree to fight the Alpha Skullcrawler is like him trying to shove the tree down Godzilla's throat in Godzilla vs. King Kong. Each damn vegetables. And even Kong's posture is like straight out of that movie, where he's standing upright.
True.
I don't know. I like the upright, Kong.
I like it better. I didn't at first. It took me until like just before the movie came out to kind of like it. It seemed a little odd. It seemed a little like Bigfoot, like Sasquatch-ish, which apparently that was their intention. But yeah. Let's see. Let's kind of go into... We've already kind of talked about it a little bit. Let's go into some more future Monsterverse speculation that I have here.
Yeah. Trying to, like, wrap that up.
One of the things that I really like that they... a world-building thing that they kind of talked about a little bit is, the one black scientist guy, Brooks, he talks about how he wrote a paper about a theory that the Earth has these hollow pockets. It's basically what these monsters are coming from. And I really, really like that they're setting that up. Like, there could be, like, this whole, like, world underneath us that's just filled to the brim with all these giant, ancient monsters. And that...
You're right.
It's gonna serve as the origin for so many things in this universe.
Yeah.
Because, like, Rodan came from, like, a fucking, like, mining accident that uncovered him.
I feel like I like that how that works because it shows that humans can't fight them, but we helped create them for the most part. So that's basically Godzilla's thing.
Yeah, because and that's one thing that I wasn't expecting them to reference in this, which was the Godzilla prequel comic, where he didn't come around in like 1954. That was when we just happened to get him like with the nuke. He started coming out immediately after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, although it was implied that it was both the nuclear radiation from those that drew him up, and the fact that another monster was following that same radiation, and he had to go kill it before it fucked up everything. But I really like that they kind of had that aspect in it, and I like that they tied in John Goodman's character to that he was on one of the ships that either Godzilla or another monster had attacked, and that's why he is working with Monarch. And he probably witnessed the same nuclear bomb experiment that, like, not killed Godzilla, because they say it didn't kill him, but they
just
kind of
put him to sleep for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
they show his, like, badge, and it says, like, he joined Monarch in, like, 1952 or something like that. Which, speaking of which, well, kind of. I did like that they may have set up aliens in some way. With that one line very early on, where they're trying to talk to like the one senator guy, and he's like, "Yeah, but you guys are like no better than those people who are out there hunting UFOs and aliens." Then John Goodman's just like, "Yeah, but those guys are nuts." That felt like a very, not forced, but that felt like a setup for bringing in because King Ghidorah's
otherworldly creatures.
King Ghidorah, his that they have teased is going to be in Godzilla 2. His origin, at least most of his origins, have been he is like some Cthulhu like god monster that has come from space to wipe us out. Almost like an intergalactic super predator.
Yeah, me at Cthulhu. I'm ready. I'm ready.
That would be really cool if they actually decide to go with that. That felt like something to me.
I don't know if we're about to move on, but before we do, I do want to go back to the statement you made about a statement you made about like the pockets and on our weird planet.
Yeah.
Like I've been sitting here thinking about it. Like it's actually incredibly possible. I like how all of these little explanations for things and all of these theories are all completely plausible.
That's what the Hollow Earth theory is, a real thing. That is.
Yeah, I can believe it. Like, because to be completely honest, I mean, the world as we know it, the form of the world as we know it is not the same as it was like thousands of years ago. It's not. It's expanding. It is expanding and breaking. Like almost as if it's a bit too heavy for itself. So it's completely possible that something could live under us between the plates, or even in just like little spaces where the Earth did not like erode over itself. Dude, that's. I mean, it also kind of explained like random hidden caves in like the middle of the freaking ocean where there's like air pockets and crazy awesomeness.
Exactly.
Like they could like that explain things like that. So I mean, hey, I'm with it. I subscribe to that. Make it happen.
It was a really cool way to world build in a way where there's so much like future potential stuff from that you can take. And I mean, like, they even kind of show that in Godzilla when they go into like a mine and like there's one of like Godzilla species like corpses down there.
True.
Let's see. One thing me and a couple other people on Tumblr were speculating about, considering how much they hammered Dear Billy into your head, I'm almost wondering if Kyle Chandler's character in Godzilla King of Monsters could possibly be a grown-up Billy. It would be kind of a neat way to kind of like tie it in, though it might be a little forced.
Yeah, I feel like that. I don't know. That's a bit. I feel like that'd be a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I think that would be a stretch, but I still don't know any of the characters' names on that. So that's what a lot of people are like. What if it's this guy?
You're right. We actually don't.
What if Bryan Cranston shows up and he is Mothra?
First of all,
if Bryan Cranston was Mothra's two fairies, sign me the fuck up. 10 out of 10 movie of the century right there.
10 out of 10 movie of the century.
Okay.
Let's see. I know next month there's supposed to be a Kong Skull Island sequel comic that actually follows a second expedition to Skull Island in like 2012, like 2 years before Godzilla's supposed to take place. And actually, the Asian scientist San and the black scientist Brooks, they actually show up in that comic and they're married. And their son is a part of Monarch.
Oh.
And I'm almost wondering if they're gonna either have those two or have their son in the next Monsterverse movies. Because, I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot we can really do in the 70s and 80s that, like, anymore. Like, I can see why they did it for Kong, because they wanted to have a Kong that was, like... They wanted to have time to size him up to fight Godzilla. But I'm not really sure there's a whole lot else we can do in that era. Maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, who knows?
There are places that writers find when they're doing stuff, like, that they just can add little hints and stuff from other movies and such. But... I don't know, I feel like this is such an expansive, like, Monsterverse that they could do almost anything they wanted to.
I'm almost wondering if they're gonna start going beyond, like, Toho monsters and, like, start picking, like, something like the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which Warner Brothers does have the rights to. Or, like, anything from any of those, like, really old monster movies. Like, with that them reference, like, who knows at this point.
True.
True.
And let's talk about the last part, the post-credits scene.
Yes! Yo. Okay.
Bruh. That was really cool.
Bruh.
I will say. I'm not a huge Monsterverse fan. Like, I've never really... I grew up knowing who Godzilla and King Kong and stuff were, but I really only knew of, like, Mothra by name. But I will say the way that they went about that was very well done.
I almost peed myself. I'm pretty sure I did pee myself. I couldn't contain it.
That's what I wish they hadn't spoiled it in the credits. Like, Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan are all properties of Toho Limited Pictures. Everyone of the people who I was in the theater with were like, wait, what? Why is that there?
Odd. Yeah, and then post credits, and they were like.
I like that they showed that Monarch is aware of them, even though they may not have 100% encountered them yet. But I love that aspect of, like, monsters being in our, like, ancient history. Like, they're the reason for, like, some of these cave paintings, and I like that they showed that, like, people were actually, like, worshipping the Mothra one.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I will say the village people are, like, some of my favorites. I don't remember their name, but they were awesome. Sidebar.
I don't think that... I think they're offhandedly named in one scene by John C. Reilly. I think they were called the Iwi.
Mm-hmm.
Which I thought was cool. And I have a feeling they're going to be making a couple more appearances in the future of the Monsterverse.
Probably.
I did like that they kind of... They gave, like, the base silhouettes of these monsters in the future. And they looked, like, really cool. Like, you could see, like, Rodan, like, even though it was just, like, his silhouette of, like, a cave painting, you could see, like, he could probably, like, walk and, like, just kind of, like, hold his wings like this when he's walking. And I fucking love that King Ghidorah basically looked like... He looked a lot bigger than Godzilla, and he also looked like he was basically Smaug from the Hobbit movies, times 3.
Yes.
And also the Targaryen sigil, but that's besides the point, because...
fine.
As soon as I saw the Targaryen sigil, I was like, yo, why is King Ghidorah gonna be in this series? Like, what the I mean, it's a 3-headed dragon, bruh. But I love that, like, almost apocalyptic look that they show, like, that last, like, cave painting, and almost implying that Godzilla and Ghidorah were, like, almost ancient enemies to each other, and that they had met before. Like, we don't know 100% if Ghidorah is going to be in Godzilla 2. It's assumed, but, you know, it's cool that that wasn't their actual first meeting, that they have a history between them. Like, they know each other.
Oh, yeah.
And which begs the question, how did they get rid of Ghidorah the first time? Or did they?
I don't think
they
did.
That's the question.
Yo, like, is it weird that I was just as, if not a little bit, like, slightly, like, giddier watching the post-credit scene for Kong Skull Island than I've been for any of the Marvel films?
I feel like compared to the last few, like, post-credit scene for Marvel, I would say yeah. I agree with that.
Like you single-handedly, like, showed all the, like, basically anyone who ever sees this movie that, oh hey, like, this is the plan. You think it stops here? Nah, bruh. Nah, we have a lot going on. It's like, bleh.
And I love that
because
line.
To be completely honest,
Go ahead.
Because
sorry.
to be completely honest, no, it's fine. We can be completely honest. A lot of people, like, even now, a lot of people, when they hear the idea of the Monsterverse, they think, oh hey, you know, Kong and Dracula. It's like, no. No.
I mean, Frankenstein was part of the original Toho Monsterverse.
True, but in this sense, he, like, no, he couldn't keep up at all. Frankenstein's monster could not keep up.
Here is a random fact for you. In the original King Kong vs. Godzilla, Kong was originally supposed to be Frankenstein, and that's why in that movie Kong gets his powers, or gets energy in that movie from getting struck by lightning. And is afraid of fire.
Wow.
True facts. Tell your friends. I mean,
my friends are being told.
I mean, I guess we are telling our friends we're on a podcast. Fuck.
Yeah.
I love that line, though, that they used to introduce it. Kong is not the only king. Like, bruh. That was so good. But that's what I liked. I really like that post-credit scene. I feel like it's basically it's almost like a lower tech version of what they did when they announced that those other 3 monsters were going to be in Godzilla 2. It was basically a Monarch video.
Right?
But I'm excited for the future of the Monsterverse. I just hope that they...
Oh, yeah.
I just hope that they can improve the writing and the storytelling a little bit. And
They need to just tighten up on their scripts. That's it.
I think that's one reason why King Kong vs. Godzilla has such a huge writer's room of, like, something like 10 writers, and then I think what they said is they have all these writers, like the guys from Star Trek Beyond, the guys from Pacific Rim 2 and stuff like that. They're not all writing the script, but they're all kind of contributing ideas and kind of kicking ideas around and seeing what works and what doesn't. And then they're supposed to be handing it off to Terry Rossio, who's supposed to do the, like, final script. So hopefully that means it'll be a little better. I'm excited that Godzilla 2 is going to be written by the guy who did Krampus and Trick or Treat. Because, I mean, those are some pretty well directed and written, like, horror monster movies. That's all, and I'm excited to see that.
No.
We still got like 2 years for that, though.
Yeah.
Even though it's shooting in the summer.
Since we're on the subject of the post-credit scene and setting up the Monsterverse, remember when the article was released about the alternate opening and alternate post-credit scene?
Yes.
For Kong Skull Island?
Yes.
I don't know if you wanted to touch on those, but I definitely want to talk about it, because...
Yeah. I'm kind of glad they didn't do the original opening, which is... It was basically supposed to be a bunch of soldiers land on Skull Island in the 40s, and basically Peter Jackson's King Kong, like a 25-foot Kong, like comes out of the woods, and then they shoot it and kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And then our Kong was supposed to show up and just completely curb stomp them.
Oh.
That would have been a big FU. And a giant middle finger.
I'm kind of glad they didn't do it. It's like you said, I feel like it would have just been like a big middle finger to like all previous versions. Like, our Kong's different. Our Kong's bigger and way better than that one. Like, I feel like it would have been filled with like that kind of connotation had they actually done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the post credit, the ending where Godzilla actually showed up?
I feel like that wouldn't have been in line with what we know from the 2014 Godzilla, and I think that's why they did it, or why they didn't do it, because Godzilla after the 1954 Castle Bravo nuclear test is supposed to just like go, we don't know where he went, or why, or if he's dead, if he's still alive, and that's what when he shows up in Godzilla 2014 on Honolulu, it's supposed to be a big fucking deal. Like, that's why, what's his face, Serizawa, Ken Watanabe from Godzilla, that's why he's, like, in shock the whole time, because he can't believe that this thing actually is still alive and is, like, actually real.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have peed myself.
That's what I do kind of like that post-credit scene, though. I'm glad, I like what we got better, but I also like that there's, that cut post-credit scene. It was almost a direct reference to the original script of Godzilla, where he was found in the Antarctic, and then, like, unfrozen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad they didn't do it, because of the continuity error it would have created.
Mm-hmm.
It still would have been cool.
Continuity errors.
It still would have been cool, though, him just breaking out of the ice in the Antarctic. Like, that's an image we haven't really seen.
Just kind of pulling a Captain America.
Yeah, right?
Kind of.
That's an image we haven't seen since the 50s. But yeah.
It'd been cool to see.
But yeah. This was a fun spoiler cast.
Yeah, is that all we had to talk about?
I think so.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Final scores.
Oh, final scores.
Final scores. Jibu, you up?
I would say after our discussion and after having seen the movie twice, I would say I would give it a solid 8. I feel like 8.5 was a little too high. I feel like 8 is perfect. Like, it still needs improvement, but I enjoyed my time a lot with it.
Cool. Lonnie, what's up?
I would give it a 7.5, just for, I don't know, because like I said, like you said, you enjoyed it and stuff, but like there were just some things that really bothered me while watching it. But overall, it was a really fun movie to watch. So, 7.5 for me.
Because even like, let me just say, because even like the characters, like, notice in this
that was my biggest problem.
Notice
the characters,
how little we talked about Tom Hiddleston in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we
didn't
mentioned
talk
him
about him
like
at all.
once.
I love Tom Hiddleston, and his character was great, but like,
He didn't get enough screen time, honestly.
no, and neither did Brie.
Nope. Because I mean, to be
Their
really honest, the
intros
movie's
are
not
awesome.
about them. The movie is really not about them. And
True,
I get that.
true.
I mean, they're the names. They're the names along with Samuel L. Jackson. Let's be real here. That carry the film, but the movie is about Kong.
Right.
And but even so, even understanding that, I feel like they definitely they should have gotten a bit more screen time. Definitely should have. Definitely.
That's what
But-
they need to find a better balance.
Yeah, I agree.
Very true.
Me, I'm gonna agree with you, Jesus. I'm gonna give it an 8. The only reason why, at first I gave it a 9. When I talked to you guys originally, I said I gave it a 9. But after our discussion and just kind of really poking holes and things like that, I would say 8 is a fair score. It is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you have seen it, see it again. Wait until you get it on Blu-ray and/or like 3D Blu-ray and watch it in 3D. I'm totally doing
Blu-ray's
that.
even still a thing.
Yes, they are, bro. Don't play.
Anything else? Any other formats you like to listen to, Grandpa?
First of all, sir, young whippersnapper, and punch you in the butt. I mean, hey, look, the PSVR plays like 3D like media now, so I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. Yeah, it's definitely a movie that I would add to my collection. So 8, solid 8.
Wait, we
Solid
forgot to
8.
mention the Samuel L. Jackson Jurassic Park reference. Hold on to your butts.
Booty butts.
That was great. Everyone in my theater was like, yeah, Jurassic Park. That was great.
Explain it to the people who haven't seen it.
Early on in the movie, which, by the way, I'm just going to mention this because this was a continuity error that bothered me even on the first time I watched it. When they first show the boat, there are 4 or 5 helicopters on the boat. After 2 helicopters have lifted off, there are like 20 helicopters in the sky. Where did those other ones come from? That's all I want to know.
Who's to say they weren't already there?
I mean, maybe, but they didn't really show them in the sky. But as the helicopters are taken off and they're about to head into the storm, like into Skull Island, Samuel L. Jackson utters his classic line from Jurassic Park. And hold on to your butts. He says it just like that. It's kind of weird, but I liked it.
That's cool. I didn't even realize that.
I feel like this film is definitely a love letter to fans of a lot of different monster I would call them monster movies, even though Jurassic Park I don't know if I should classify it as a monster movie.
Felt the Aliens vibe with this very strong with the military bits. Like,
oh yeah,
they felt just like the Colonial Marines to me. What else? But yeah, I think that's all we really got to talk about on this. I'm sure there's stuff we're
Solid
forgetting.
hour and a half.
Pretty good. I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting, but yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, if anybody else wants to talk about it, they can.
hit us up, bruh.
and I mean, I'm
You know where to find us,
I'm
Bruce.
sure once Godzilla King of Monsters comes out in like 2 years. Actually, no, that's supposed to come out in March in 2 years. I thought that was a May release, but cool. I'm sure we'll be talking about it then, and I know at some point I want to do a commentary on both this and Godzilla. But yeah.
I mean, do it up, man.
Yeah.
I'm down for it.
But
Well, yeah, guys.
All right.
This has been Terminus. Squad life.
We will see you guys Wednesday for our Logan cast. Our Logan spoiler cast.
Also,
Around
if
probably
you-
at the same time.
Probably.
And also, if you don't feel like sleeping at all tonight,
yes,
first episode of Andromeda is happening. So
Probably, maybe.
it's happening.
Poor Papa.
So Mass Effect Andromeda. I'll be playing Mass Effect Andromeda. So if you guys want to watch, why not?
Good. And if you want to watch it on twitch.tv/Tales from Terminus.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy.
That plug though. That plug. I'm out.
We will see you guys very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna play that intro again.
I don't know what I'm doing.